and welcome to the Odyssey Lesson 25, Analyzing Contrasting Points of View, Part 2. In the previous lesson, we examined a visual representation of the siren scene from Book 12. Today we will continue rereading and annotating a critical scene from the Odyssey. We will also analyze the representation of the siren scene from Book 12 in a second medium. You will need digital access to Siren Song by Margaret Atwood, your partially completed Contrasting Points of View handout, the Character Trait resource, the Tone Words resource, and links to thesaurus.com and dictionary.com. You're going to complete Step 3 of Activity 5 for Excerpt 1. You're going to use the questions in the right margin to guide you as you record your insights and impressions about the text. For the question concerning diction, you need to highlight words showing positive diction in light purple and negative diction in gray. You will have about 7 minutes to complete this part. Listen as I reread the passage from Book 12 in which Odysseus details his encounter with the sirens. They swung aboard at once. They sat to the oars in ranks and in rhythm churned the water white with stroke on stroke. And Circe, the nymph with glossy braids, the awesome one who speaks with human voice, sent us a hearty shipmate, yes, a fresh following wind ruffling up in our wake, bellowing out our sail to drive our blue prow on as we, securing the running gear from stem to stern, sat back while the wind and helmsman kept her true on course. At last, and sore at heart, I told my shipmates, "Friends, it's wrong for only one or two to know the revelations that lovely Circe made to me alone. I'll tell you all, so we can die with our eyes wide open now, or escape our fate and certain death together. First, she warns, we must steer clear of the sirens, their enchanting song, their meadows starred with flowers. I alone was to hear their voices, so she said, but you must bind me with tight chafing ropes, so I cannot move a muscle, bound to the spot, erect at the mast block, lashed by ropes to the mast. And if I plead, commanding you to set me free, then lash me faster, rope on pressing rope." So I informed my shipmates point by point, all the while our trim ship was speeding toward the Sirens' Island, driven on by the brisk wind. But then the wind fell in an instant, all glazed to a dead calm. A mysterious power hushed the heaving swells. The oarsmen leapt to their feet, struck the sail, stowed it deep in the hold, and set to the oarlocks, thrashing with polished oars, frothing the water white. Now with a sharp sword I sliced an ample wheel of beeswax down into pieces, kneaded them in my two strong hands, and the wax soon grew soft, worked by my strength and Helios's burning rays, the sun at high noon, and I stopped the ears of my comrades one by one. They bound me hand and foot in the tight ship, lashed by ropes to the mast, and rowed and churned the whitecaps stroke on stroke. We were just off shore, as far as a man's shout can carry, scudding close when the sirens sensed at once a ship was racing past, and burst into their high, thrilling song. "Come closer, famous Odysseus, Achaea's pride and glory, moor your ship on our coast so you can hear our song. Never has any sailor passed our shores in his black craft until he has heard the honeyed voices pouring from our lips, and once he hears to his heart's content sails on, a wiser man. We know all the pains that Achaeans once endured on the spreading plain of Troy when the gods willed it so. All that comes to pass on the fertile earth, we know it all." So they sent their ravishing voices out across the air, and the heart inside me throbbed to listen longer. I signaled the crew with frowns to set me free. They flung themselves at the oars and rowed on harder, Paramedes and Eurylochus springing up at once to bind me faster with rope on chafing rope. But once we'd left the sirens fading in our wake, once we could hear their song no more, their urgent call, my steadfast crew was quick to remove the wax I'd use, to seal their ears and loose the bonds that lashed me. At this time, I want you to complete step 3 of activity 5 for excerpt 2. You're going to use the questions in the right margin to guide you as you record your insights and impressions about the text. Remember, you're going to highlight the words that show positive diction in light purple and negative diction in light gray. You will have about 8 minutes to complete this part. Before reading the poem Siren Song, make a prediction about the poem based on the title. This poem gives a different point of view. Based on what you know about the sirens, what can you predict about the poem? Now I want you to write your paraphrase or your prediction. You have about 1 minute to do so. This poem references the episode in Book 12 in which Odysseus encounters the sirens, but it provides a different perspective than the traditional epic. I am going to play an audio version of the poem twice. Read the text along on your screen as you listen. Listen carefully for the speaker's tone.